We are back to the Beautifully Broken podcast with the radiant Dr. Melissa. And we're going to talk about healing in the midst of the pandemic of loneliness. This is topical. Don't turn away. Don't turn that dial. We cover what it really means to feel connected, how community and self-awareness and emotional honesty are often the missing pieces in wellness. Amen, Dr. Melissa. So she shares how transforming her morning routine changed her health, even with late-stage neurological Lyme, why rest matters more than most people want to admit, and how brainwaves shape our daily state. Team, we're going to talk about the tension of doing more and actually listening to the body. This is a podcast you want in the toolbox. We're also going to intro her new book, The Connection Code, which is a guide for reconnecting with your values and your voice and the people who matter. Let's go. Welcome to the Beautifully Broken podcast. I'm your host, Freddie Kimmel, and on this show, we explore the survivor's journey, practitioners making a difference, and the therapeutic treatments and transformational technology that allow the body to heal itself. Witness the inspiration we gain by navigating the human experience with grace, humility, and a healthy dose of mistakes. Because part of being human is being beautifully broken. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Beautifully Broken podcast. I'm here with Dr. Melissa. Welcome to the show.
It's so good to be here with you, Freddie. Thank you so much.
It's so good to be here with you. So we met doing Runga events at the Austin Music Ranch.
Yes. Oh my God, that space was so amazing.
Unreal. For anybody that's watching this and you go Google this, it is like this massive ranch in the hills of Austin that used to be owned by the Dixie Chicks as a recording studio.
And I love them. You could feel their energy there, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that going in, it's like music was made here and created here.
The music was made here. And so we were there and we were like, all things wellness, a deep immersive 3 and 4 day festivals. And, for anybody who hadn't been to a Runga event that was, Ben Greenfield was involved and Quicksilver Scientific and the New Fit technology and all the things, right? The curation of the human beings was the energy and the energetic vibe of the weekend was just so elevated. It was very, very special.
That's one of my hands down favorite events to immerse in. I mean, you nailed it. Like the energy and the food is so clean. They're giving you shots of stuff. They're putting you in the chambers on the amp coil. You're with elevated people having beautiful, connected conversations in the grass, right? Going through these epic experiences. And I think what I loved so much about there is that the people there wanted to learn and connect and grow, So it's just like a really cool weekend to slip into. Yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing. It was amazing. I think like you said, the quality of the food.
Yeah.
Like they're bringing out, T-bone steaks and bison burgers and, they were the first people to like structure water in an event, everything you could imagine to complement the exchange of the information that was like turning into knowledge. And then people were walking out of there with just a lot of zip in their step and a lot of inspiration after those weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to think of those experiences that a lot of us get to have as like the macro connection, the macro self-care, right?
Uh-huh.
You go to these and you leave there vibrating on another level.
Yeah.
And they're so beautiful. And then there's like I call it reentry. We've got 3 kids. So then you like dip into reentry, which is usually a pendulum swing the complete other way, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, how do I take this and weave this into the fabric of the reality of my life? And those are the micro, which I know we'll talk about a lot today, like the small moments.
Yeah.
But I think both are really important.
I do too. I always, when I talk about these things, I do realize how privileged I am to be able to go to these where, oh my God, many people are struggling to pull together extra money for food or don't have, I think a majority of Americans don't have, I think it's 60 to 70% don't have $1,000 on a credit card. The disparity is real. I have always believed, as amplifying the message with bigger adoption, that prices and scale starts to move outward. As we usually see with most things in the modern world, Now you're there at this wellness event. I assume there was a time when you didn't know about the benefits of hyperbaric chambers or fasting and longevity. Tell me about a time that was really challenging for you in your body, in your life, from either the physical or the mental, emotional, spiritual.
Sure. Yeah. And actually, when it happened to me, so I got really sick. I got hit with a form of neurological Lyme and mold toxicity. And you know from experience how fun that can be.
It's amazing.
And at the time when I got sick, we had 3 kids. Our youngest daughter was a year old, and our boys were 4 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, I was in the wellness space. I'm a chiropractor. My husband's a chiropractor. So we were running our clinic, and I had access to a lot of that stuff. And it was a big part of my healing. But, you know, even with all that going on, I got hit. And I know we'll get to this place, but it turns out it's one of the best things that happened to me, because it made me realize there's so much more to the story than what I was doing. I was doing fasting. I was doing all the right things. I was doing all the things that I thought were right as a healthy woman who takes care of herself, which was just more things on my busy plate. And it was really scary. I mean, I know you've had an experience with Lyme and mold, and so I imagine you know what it's like to lose your mind. I was at, like, there were whispers of things that were showing up for me that weren't right. And I'm usually a very social, happy, energetic person. I had a full load of patients. I loved my job. I loved my life. I've got 3 beautiful children. I loved my husband. And things just started to not feel right. And it was like the whispers that I think a lot of us push down. Like, I'm tired. It's the end of the day. I can't do this anymore, but I have to, right? I need a break. I can't take one. And my body just started getting louder and louder. And it started to turn into really bad headaches. And then it was like my headaches were I couldn't see well. And then I started to lose my memory. And then there were really big kickers that I get a little emotional when I talk about. I was at our son's kindergarten graduation, and him and his classmates were up on stage singing these sweet graduation songs. And I'm just waterfalls, right? I've got Wyatt, our 4-year-old, on one side, and I'm breastfeeding our daughter and just bawling. And these moms are like, oh my God, I know, our boys are kindergarten graduation. And I'm like, little do they know, I'm struggling to think of my son's name right now. It got really bad, really fast. And that was a big one. And also, my husband and I had built our office and worked there together for over a decade, and it's 2 miles down the road, and I couldn't find my way there anymore. And so I was still showing up for everybody. I was pumping ibuprofen and chugging caffeine and just trying to keep it all afloat. And then my body said no more. And it got really bad. And luckily we had access to some testing and some great tools. And so I hit the road to recovery pretty quickly. But, in hindsight, it's really what taught me that it's not just about doing more when it comes to our health. Sometimes it's about letting go and actually doing less and tuning into the things that are free, that we can access at any time, no matter who we are and how much money we have in the bank, which I think is just such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, those are universal truths.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am such a strong believer that the environment informs biology, what do you think it was in your environment that caused or laid the scene for you to have such an acute response to Lyme?
Yeah. Well, I like to look at it as a bucket, right? Our stress bucket. And so we all accumulate stress. And as a chiropractor, I'm taught to look at it from the lens of chemical stress, which is what we're around, perhaps molds, right? Physical stress, what we're doing against our body or for our body. And then emotional stress. I have a job, I have a family, right? The good stress, which is called eustress. It's healthy stress. We have to have it. Or distress, unhealthy stress. And those stresses accumulate in the bucket. And there's I'm Midwestern, we call it the hay that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
So there's that one thing that sets us over into symptoms, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I had let my bucket get really full. And then we were spending a lot of time on a sailboat, and there was a ton of mold on there. And at some point, in the summer, just as I was getting sick, I had found a tick bite behind my ear. So I think it was like that double stack on top of all the things that I was, doing against my body that I thought was doing for my body.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I ask what testing you used to identify what was going on?
Yeah. Jason, my husband, does functional medicine. And so I honestly put a lot of it in his hands. But I will tell you, when I first went to get tested, it was on a weekend. We were at the sailboat. We had extra kids with us. And I was like, I need to go to urgent care. Like, it's bad. Something's wrong. I need to get tested. And so I went home. I got into an urgent care, and the doctor tried to send me home. He's like, you're a tired mom. Just go home and rest. And luckily, I know enough. I was like, I'm not leaving here until you run some Lyme, some inflammatory markers. Like, there's something going on. And if you're not going to put that in my chart, I'm not leaving. And so I got tested for Lyme. That was what showed up right away. And then we did like some provoked DMSA testing, DMSO. Yeah. We did some metal testing, some mold testing. Yeah. He kind of ran the gamut. I was like, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to know, because I'm dealing with it on the inside and I'm trying to tell myself I'm not. But I can grab all that stuff for him. We can put it in the notes.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great to know. And it's a tricky road to navigate.
Yeah.
So do you think there are some pillars along your journey which were turning points? You're like, oh my goodness, I changed this and I started doing this and it was like lights came on. I changed this and I added in this. I got another level of functionality.
Yeah. The biggest thing I switched was my morning routine.
Okay.
So I was doing what I like to call a power hour. And I think this is, what a lot of people who are aspiring to get it all done do in some regard in the morning.
Yeah.
I had done a lot of Tony Robbins coaching, and he calls it your power hour. It's like a very masculine energy, right? Get up, get ahead of the day, which is great. I just changed what that meant to me. So in previous life, when I got sick, what that meant to me was setting the alarm for 4:30 a.m., making some really strong coffee because I was tired, but I had to get up, get ahead of the day. I went to a CrossFit gym. I love CrossFit. I did it for a long time. It worked well. But you think about just from like a circadian rhythm, going under the really bright lights.
Yeah.
So call it CrossFit or call it something else, but like exposing yourself to really bright lights right out the gate.
Yeah.
And then I came home and I hit the emails to get ahead of the emails for the day. You never get ahead of the emails for the day. They just keep coming, right? And then I hit my day. So now I call it a morning ritual or a morning rhythm. And I get ahead of the day by setting my nervous system for the day. I love nervous system alignment. That's a whole other pillar. It's really important. That's my favorite one to talk about because we can align with our brainwave flow and it's like magic. And those are the ways we can reset in seconds.
Yeah.
So the first pillar, to answer your question, was setting my morning ritual. And now what that looks like, it can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes. It's waking up, keeping my phone to the side, checking in, like what's my head saying, creating an awareness around the subconscious thoughts because they come in right away, right?
Strong.
Dictating what I want for the day, right? So like those thoughts might be like, how am I going to get it all done? And before I'd be like, well, coffee, and I'll just force through.
Yeah.
And now I switch that to what do I want more of in this day? It's a stacked day. And my answer, I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. I don't know if you do Enneagrams.
I've done it in the past. I'm now more human design than anything.
I love that. Yeah.
So I'm a manifest generator.
Okay. I think that's what I am too.
Yeah.
So 7's Enneagram play is really important for us. So my main question I ask myself is, how can I make today more fun?
Yeah.
And then that's like the lens that I see my day through.
Yeah.
And then I go out and I don't turn on any of our overhead lights. I use red lights. There's great ones, right? We can spend a lot of money on therapeutic ones. Love them. I've also grabbed on Amazon some like cheapy ones and I just put them in my lamps.
Yeah.
I've got one that I clip on as a book light. I love reading too.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I do with my women in my community. But I've just changed the way that I approach the day from the get-go. Yeah.
Yeah. It is such a palate cleanser. And I will tell you, as much as I know, I should do that, there are days when I slip and I slide back into, whatever it was. It was like, oh, how did this clip do last night that Michelle post? Or how did the downloads look for what? And I'll start with 2 or 3 of those. And then I find that I lose the ability to pull it back because the dopamine pull to like achieve is so strong.
Totally get that.
I find like I have for a long time, years and years, I had to have coffee. I'll be honest with the audience today. I brewed a pot of coffee and I've not done coffee in almost 3 months.
Oh, wow.
I brewed one and I put it in the cup on the way here because I'm working on this big project. And back to back shows, we were at Health Optimization and CryoCon and going to Boise next weekend. So, you know, the gig. And I took a sip of it and was just like, first stoplight, I was like, you don't need this. You don't need it. And I knew I didn't need it, but it was like that old pathway. If you don't kill it and really like lean into like, you know, the new morning, it's real easy to slide back in. And I find that a lot of times we'll have that shame or judgment about sliding back into the old pattern. That's very American, right?
I think this is a really important conversation. And I'm so glad you brought it up, because if we sit here and we're like, here's my perfect morning and nothing gets in the way, and this is who I am and this is what I do, and people listening to this are like, I'm going to try. And then they slip up. The worst thing we can do is slip up and then think we're a failure and never do it again. Like, we call it practice because we're going to slip up.
Yeah.
And that's where we learn. And I think that's such an important aspect of it, because the power is in the awareness, right? I think it's Viktor Frankl said the quote, like, between reaction and stimulus is a pause, and that's where our power sits. And so you made the coffee and you were conscious of what you were doing, right? You were conscious this is the old way. There are many days or many moments that I will choose the old way, but I'm aware that it's a choice.
Yeah.
And so during those days, if I feel frazzled, if I feel chaotic, if I start to feel off, I know why. I made the choice. And usually at the end of those days, I'm like, yeah, I don't want the old way anymore. And then the other thing is, you know, we choose what's familiar. So we'll choose a familiar hell over an unknown potential heaven most of the time because it feels like safety. And so I think also giving yourself permission and forgiving and knowing that, like, it's not going to feel natural. And so this is where, you know, I think it's so important to have the conversations and connections and community, so that when you're like, I heard these people talking about switching my morning and I went to do it. And my husband was like, I thought we were going to do our emails in the morning, or I thought we were going to do that thing. And all of a sudden now you're over there. Like, yeah, that's going to happen. Or my dog woke up and had to pee. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Or my kids woke up. What do I do? You're like, oh, it happens to me too.
Yeah.
It makes you feel less alone, and it makes you realize it's a human experience and we're all just practicing.
Yeah.
So that's so important. I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yeah, it's real. I'm laughing because I'm making my partner right now watch The Last of Us.
I don't know what that is.
It's a series on HBO about zombies. And it's a zombie show, but it's the writing.
It's good.
And the cinematography. Oh, it's all about relationships.
Oh.
It's all about relationships. People will tell you it's a zombie show. It's about relationships, and it's beautifully written. It's gory, and it's HBO. So, you know, we're watching. I was like, I really want to watch season 2 with you. So, and we're both sitting there. She's like, last night, she's like, you have to put this section on mute. She's like, this music and them being chased. She's like, I'm not going to sleep, babe.
It's like nervous system activating.
And I'm like, I know, but this is really good. It's good with sound. You can't watch a zombie chase without, you know, with people with mushroom heads, without the music. You gotta have, and they're making these weird clicking noises, all the things. Shout out to The Last of Us. But, you know, it was really interesting. So I hit mute for this section. I was like, oh my God, does that take the intensity off? You know, so we're like, it was a great example. It was like, I want to watch this with you. I want to share this experience. She has an awareness that it's going to disrupt her sleep. And then we had this thing where like, oh, we learned something, like, wow, does that change just on the scenes that are like something big's about to happen? Yeah. You know, we both slept relatively well. It's really, but I know that dynamic between partners, and it's like, we have different needs. Like, she's a PA, you know, she's doing community medicine. She's up early. She's in her early workout class. So I have to, you know, I like to ride a little later. So it's that negotiation, which I find often pulls people either off their program, or it's the cross that they'll die on, and be like, well, I can't do that because my partner lives this way and it doesn't work with them. Yeah. So that's a challenging one for people to negotiate and navigate sometimes, I find.
It's a really tricky one. And I mean, that's like a whole other podcast on relationships and, you know, getting in alignment with your values, because I think it leads to really good conversations and you can grow together.
Yeah.
And I think even in the strongest relationships, my husband and I have a great bond. Communication is definitely one of our core values, as is growth mindset. And I will say he struggled for sure when I changed my morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think ultimately, like at the core, we all have the feeling I'm separate, right? We can. And so for him, when I started going over here, and I didn't fully communicate what was changing, but I knew I needed to do something for me or I was no good for him anyway, then what's the point, right?
Yeah.
And so luckily we came back together and communicated, and my health has become so leveraged because I saw what happens when it fell short. I saw the burden that fell on my husband. I saw that I couldn't take care of my family. And so it's like a non-negotiable for me. And that's why I love to teach it, because for some women, especially, they haven't hit that point yet. So they haven't hit that point yet where listening to their own needs becomes really high up. Ideally, number one, if not at least top three, because that's how we burn out, right? If we don't do it. But if that's not a really high value, then when your partner says, wait, but what? Or when your kids are like, mommy, wait, like you will just fall back into that old pattern and then stay stuck, right? And there's like that little magic spot of growth and communication that completely changes the game.
Yeah. None of this is taught anywhere. Like this is, I really believe like what you're talking about is a skill that our generation, I mean, I was not around people that had this level of awareness about internal knowing or an internal truth, or do I have an internal compass that I should honor, the language with which I speak to my tissues. I was not around people like this.
Yeah.
This is new to me. Maybe this was being practiced somewhere in the world. How do you open the door to women and guide them in finding, like, what do I want? What are my needs? Having never asked yourself that question for 40, 50, 60 years.
Yeah, definitely. I've got resources for women and we'll list them all for men too. It's funny. More than half of my audience is men.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching this to women, but I think men are like, I'm curious too, or wanting to know about their partners, which I think is really very cool.
It's a good audience for you because I'm like 75% female audience.
Oh, sweet. Okay. It's like a hybrid. So it's a really good question, because so much of the time you ask a woman what she wants or needs, it's like, I don't know. I'm thinking about them first, right? Yeah. So you first have to get ready to spend some time alone. And usually a couple barriers come up with that. I don't have time, or I'm scared, right? And I think a lot of us use the time one because it's a very easy one to use as an excuse. I'm too busy. I don't have time. But the reality is I'm asking you for 2-minute clips here and there. Everything I teach is like 2 minutes. But we fill these pockets of time that we get throughout the day with our phones.
We sure
How
do.
often are you like, oh my God, I have 2 minutes between pods, 2 minutes between emails, 2 minutes between whatever. Let me catch up. Who needs me? Where am I supposed to be? What can I do? Yeah. Right? How's my video doing?
Yeah.
I totally get that. And so I like to teach women about what I call anchor tools. Don't worry. I'm going to help you figure it out. And I'm going to give you some anchors in those moments. And I'm just going to ask you to not grab your phone and instead grab these things. One of those things is a book. I love books. I say a book is the connection. It's the gateway back to yourself. Because a phone gets us in beta brain, which is like very busy brain.
Yeah.
Whereas reading, literally the movement of tracking your eyes across a page, will activate something called your corpus callosum. You instantly get into your body and into brain and heart coherence and balance. And so I always have a book with me. It's like the 2 minutes, 5 minutes here and there. The amount of books that you can actually get through is really beautiful.
Can I ask you a question about the reading and the book?
Yeah.
Have you ever read on like one of the Kindles that looks like paper? Does that work for you as far as like brainwave, or do you find it different?
For me, it doesn't. I don't know. I think there's just something so very different between holding a physical book and reading one on our devices.
Yeah.
I think too, it's just like too easy to get pulled into the other stuff. I definitely recommend a physical book. I think audios are great too for like if you're someone in motion or if like you learn better through motion, but I really encourage people not to read on a digital device.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the tactile experience. analog version of the technology.
Definitely. It's the highlighting it. It's the crinkling the page. I mean,
yeah,
you've got a good book when it's like dog-eared and highlighted and the pages are stained and wet. Like those are the kind of books I want to get from my friends.
Yeah.
Like, here, borrow this one. It's really good.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So I walk women through, we read together in my online book club for women. So I'm like, you don't even have to think about the book. I'm suggesting it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're reading this together. And so use that as one of your anchors. Another anchor I teach them is the 5-minute warning, because the more we start to put ourselves in situations of calm, contentment, spending time with ourselves without digital, the more our brain literally starts to perceive that as safe.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning when we do it, I mean, if I wasn't here and you have nothing going on and your phone's sitting right there and you're like, I'm not going to grab it. I'm not going to grab it. Like, it just feels really weird, right? Like, okay, what do I do with this space and time? So we've got to teach our brain, I'm not missing something. Like, this is contentment. I just don't remember that because I haven't been there in a while. Once we start to create these spaces of feeling safe in the moments without all the things, then we start to hear our voice again. It's always there.
Yeah.
It's the greatest guide. It's all we need.
Yeah.
But we have forgotten how to hear it. And so you said it, when you were having the coffee, you said, you don't need this. And we all hear those voices. And I think we just shun it and stop listening to it when that's the gold. And the more we do it, the louder it gets. And so literally, today was a crazy kamikaze travel day for me. And it gets to the point now where I can be like, what is it that I need? And I get an instant answer. And so I'm not saying your life becomes perfect. Like, I wouldn't want that. I think we need the stress. We need the movement. I like a busy, kind of crazy life. But when you get pulled off kilter, you can get back really quickly. But that comes from getting to know yourself, what you desire and what you want. And I think that the reason many women don't get there is just getting over that first step of spending time alone because they have no time or they're scared. And those are my favorite things, because once you open that portal, it's like the floodgates of fun. Like, whoa, it was this easy. And oh my God, I'm having more fun in my 40s than I did in my 20s. Yeah. It's such a beautiful thing. And we deserve it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then too, like, when you get tuned into that voice, in the age of like biohacks and all these tools that are out there, and Huberman saying cold plunge for dopamine release, right?
Sure.
But not after your workout. And then Stacey Sims is saying, but not for women. And you're like, what? Just listen.
I love it.
That's the guide.
Yeah.
Because she always knows.
Yeah. Friends, most people don't realize the body needs over 100 different minerals to function at its best. And most of us are running on low. That's why brain fog, poor sleep, low energy, even a drop in sex drive are so common. And you know me, this podcast is not here to market magic. We're here to stick to the facts. So Beam Minerals is a company that delivers real bioavailable electrolytes through humic and fulvic complexes, carbon-based molecules that hydrate your cells, as well as binding to toxins, supporting gentle daily detox. This is foundational health. There's no sugar, there's no synthetics, there's no hype. There's just clean ionic minerals that your body actually recognizes and can use intentionally. You can use code Beautifully Broken to try it and feel what full mineral support really can do for the body. Replenish, rebuild, detoxify naturally with Beam. Let's get back to the show. I thought about that week for a while, and I was listening to Huberman say one thing, I'm listening to Stacey, and I was like, God, I don't feel good about any of this.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I felt, but I know I was having a moment. It's like, I don't like it. I don't like this. I was like, well, who's right?
You are.
Yeah. And I was like, are women a bucket of neurotransmitters? Or is there a world in which like 15 women in a cabin in Vermont that are cooking food together and they're cutting through the ice and they're like having a life-changing weekend? Is that measurable? Like, I don't think so. I think that now we're talking magical experience. So I understand there's a value for the scientific methodology, but at the end of the day, and I think you're a big believer in the ceremonious nature of some of these things that elevates the tea or the sitting
for sure,
or the eye gazing. It can be simple, but you can transcend it through this awareness.
Yeah. Well, to me, those experiences you were just talking about, that comes down to community and connection.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so you put anything into a setting where there's community and connection, and I would bet that it's community and connection that is creating the benefits over the ice or the wine, like all the studies that at least used to show having a glass of wine with dinner has all these health benefits. Well, what were you doing at that dinner? Were you also in great conversation? Were you in community? Were you feeling connected? Because then it wasn't the wine, it was that.
Yeah.
In our book club, we're reading this great book called The Hormone Fix by Dr. Anna Kabecka. She's a triple board certified OBGYN. I'm sure you're familiar.
It's great.
And I love it because it's like in the age of information, I mean, even for us who've been in the space for a decade and a half, if not two, it's confusing.
I'm more overwhelmed now than ever.
It's so confusing. And we have a lot of resources and we have a lot of knowledge. And Dr. Kabecka, she's like, go play. Go play is basically the message. Go boost your oxytocin because it's going to lower your cortisol and it's going to balance insulin. And that is what we need to get back to. All the blue zones of these people who live past 100, we look at it from this American lens. What are they doing? What are they doing so we can recreate it? They have community and connection. Some of them are smoking. Some of them are drinking. They're doing whatever the hell they want to do.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in community and connection. And that is the common pillar. And that is my favorite thing to talk about because it's easy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is. And there's a lot of people that don't have that. Well, it can also be there's not the awareness around what that looks like.
Uh-huh. And people don't have it.
And people don't have it. And I do experience that a lot. I would say, a bunch of people have said this, that the greatest pandemic we're in right now is loneliness.
Yeah.
Hyperconnectivity, lack of quality connection.
Yeah.
And, I would join with people and say, even within this realm of all the things that I'm aware of and know and my friends and great community, that there's so much time on a computer or a digital space that I don't get you don't get the same magic as Runga or going to an event or having picnic in a park.
Yeah.
That digitally, the time we spend on this device, it's really hard to unwind that from the day.
Yeah, I definitely have a big space in my heart for that because I experienced that. And I think it's twofold. I think we get really lonely and isolated, even amidst big groups, many people that do have community because you're lonely for your true self.
Mm-hmm.
And I experienced that. And then I lived 15 years and grew a family and a practice in New Jersey with my husband. And when we were going to pack up and move, literally we moved for community. I realized I didn't have a single person to say bye to other than family and coworkers.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. And I felt that. I felt very lonely and isolated. I didn't feel like I had a lot of mama friends that had the same values as I did for raising our children. So we moved to a school community that was really felt good to us. But in doing that, that's why I'm creating everything I'm creating for women, because I didn't have community and every woman deserves to have that. And so for me, I'm creating that for women in the book club online. And yes, it is online. But what I'm doing is I'm helping women get back to their true self, which is your real community.
Yeah.
And once you get back to her, your people are going to find you.
Yeah.
It works that way. And so I think it's a beautiful thing because it's especially for women, we're communal beings.
Yeah.
And, we show up in these spaces, whether it's online or in these groups or, at work. And it's at least I did for a long time. I asked myself, who do these people need me to be? Or in any social situation, I don't want to go, but I'm supposed to be here. So what do I need to do in order to show up the way I'm supposed to? These questions I would constantly ask myself. that once I realized and started spending more time, like, why am I doing that? Why do I care about this? Like, what if I just started to say no? What if, like, when that question came up, what if I just was like, I'm going to do what I want to do at this thing that I don't want to go to?
Yeah.
And I started to show up and honor me. And it's like, it sounds so cliche, it really, really does. But for the women listening, like, just try it. It's free. It's easy. It's kind of scary, to be honest, but I got you. Like, that's where our community comes in because we're doing it together.
Yeah.
But like, you start to see when you stand up for what you believe in, and when you start to say, I don't want to go to dinner at 8:00 anymore. I don't like how it makes me feel. Like, you might lose some people that are like, boring old lady, whatever, but you're going to find your 5:00 p.m. dinner crew.
Yeah.
That's healthy. Like, they will find you. And as silly as that sounds, I think you understand what I'm saying. You know how powerful that becomes.
Yeah.
Because then you're not going up to groups and trying to fit in. You're standing in your power, and that energy is palpable and it's magnetic.
Yeah.
And that's living in alignment.
Yeah.
And then everything comes through you and to you, and that's flow, not force. Yeah. And we deserve that.
I think it's a great thing to remind. I mean, I'm in this moment, I'm like, oh my goodness, there's so many times when, again, it's as simple as asking.
Yeah.
It's an invitation. It's changing the quality of the question. If I'm, and I this last like 2 months, I've been working very passionately, but there are so many times when I'm like, dude, you shouldn't work today, but I'm like, oh, a deadline. Oh, I have to. As opposed to saying, well, if my body's really asking for a full day off, how does the next day, how would that look, And I think that's the gap, because we don't know. We're like, oh, maybe I show up with a 5X that day because I actually give my body, a full recharge.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
That's where, can we talk about brainwaves for a minute?
Yeah, let's do it.
I love brainwaves.
Okay. Me too.
Okay, great.
I've been really thinking about, one of the things I'm a huge believer of is we've talked about subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And I've had like 3 guests mention Dr. Ryan Myers. This is out today. He just said, when you say, oh, what's Sally's name? What is her name? And you know how it pops in like 3 days later?
Yeah.
Subconscious is running that whole 3 days searching for that name. And you're like, oh my God, it's Sally Johnson. He's like, in the same way, what we see with our chronic pain clinic is that when people are like, why can't I get better? Why is my body so bad? Why am I always having IBS? The body will find the answer to that question and put it into the physicality.
100%. That's
so I'm
why
like, I'm like right there with you. I'm fascinated by brainwaves. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, and just to touch on that, that is why the questions that you ask yourself when you wake up are very important. So if everyone listening to this did one thing, because I think even podcasts can be overwhelming. You're like, right. I just learned 10 things. What do I do?
Yeah.
Pick one thing. So like maybe your one thing is I'm just going to start to listen to the questions that I play when I wake up. So tomorrow when you wake up, keep your eyes closed and just listen. And just listen. And start to see what you're asking yourself. And you will start to see why your life feels the way it feels. Why am I so behind? Why can't I catch up? Oh, no wonder I'm anxious. Interesting. Start to switch your question. What do you want more of? Right? So powerful. That's why gratitude practice works. What am I grateful for? You're going to find it. Right? Okay. So now let's relate this to brain syncing and brainwave flow, because when you said, you're fried and you're busy, and if I could take a day off, you would feel better. But like, is that in your reality? Can you actually take a day off? And aligning with our brainwaves is how you feel like you did. So there's a few that I really love to talk about: Theta, Alpha, Beta, and Delta. And this is like a daily rhythm.
Wait, does it go low to high for me? So we go...
I like to go daily flow.
Oh, your daily flow.
Yeah. So okay, from great. Morning to night.
Got it.
Yeah,
I'm following
which I think
you.
is more important than talking about frequencies.
Perfect.
All right. And I give them a nickname.
Yeah.
And I have like a printable, I should have brought you one. I have a printable cheat sheet that tells you exactly what they are.
I'm sure we can have like my video editor. We can cut in like the brainwave flow.
Perfect.
We'll do it.
Okay. So when you wake up, you are in Theta. You're in Theta, and then you go to Alpha. And people who meditate for years work really hard to try to achieve alpha and theta. And you're in it when you wake up. We pull ourselves out by the things that we do. So I'm going to tell you what each one does, what the action step is to stay in, because everyone's like, okay, what do I do? Even though a lot of them are like doing nothing. And then how to get back in quickly when you need to. So this is great for someone who's like working really hard all day and you need that day off. You're in beta and you just need to work in some water breaks, which I'm going to teach you right now. So we wake in theta. Theta is like the subconscious voice. And the action step in theta, if even for 2 minutes, is to listen. And if you've ever heard someone say, I get my best ideas in the shower, that's theta. Yeah. Or when you were just talking about your friend asking, what's their name? And you get it. I would bet they were in theta when they got it. So theta is basically a direct channel to our subconscious, our intuition. If you believe in channeling, you hit that in theta, source, God, that's theta. And so when we wake up, instead of going right onto our devices, because our digital will throw you into beta, which we'll talk about later, or listening to a podcast, or even listening to a meditation, like listening to everyone else in the world but yourself, just get quiet and listen to you. And you might not like what you're hearing, to be honest. It might be that, I got a busy day. I can't do it. My grocery list, this lady's telling me to listen. What am I supposed to do? I need to make my to-do list for the day. Just listen. Just listen. Because this is how you start to tap in, get used to it so that later in the day you can access it. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So for theta, you listen. So what does that look like in my life? When I wake up, I lay in my bed for a couple minutes, or if people are new to this and they're afraid they'll fall back to sleep, then get out of your bed. I call it a sit spot, like create an anchor that you can go to in the morning. Red light only, no white light, because it'll pull you out of theta, and just sit your butt down. And so just like if you were going to start to work out at like 6 a.m., you'd set out your workout clothes so you don't have to think about it. Like have your sit spot. I walk women through. I think I have a video we can link. Here's what should be in your sit spot. So you just saunter over there and you just sit down and you listen. Then you go into what's called alpha. So theta is like the daydreamer. Then you go into what's called
Theta
alpha.
is where like most children spend a majority of the time, right?
And alpha.
Okay.
Yeah. Theta is what you're in if you're daydreaming.
Yeah.
So you think about like, when is the last time you did that? You look around, like if you're in the reception room of like a massage, clinic, spa, doctor's office, like who's daydreaming?
Yeah.
Everyone's staring at our phone, which puts you in beta.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll get to beta. So theta is first, daydreamer, action step is listen. 2 minutes, check off is fine. If you can, like 10 minutes, amazing. No judgment, no good, no bad. It's just listening to what's coming in. It's getting to know yourself again. Then alpha, which is the connector. It's getting you in your heart. This is really good for like brain heart coherence. This is where, like for a morning ritual, is where I would say journal. So it's like giving voice or language to what you were hearing. So again, no perfect way it has to look. It could be like, that was really heavy. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Why am I doing this? It could be, I'm grateful for. It could be whatever you want. Alpha is a flow state. This is where kids spend a lot of time. You're completely in the present moment, and it comes with practice the more that we do it.
Yeah.
A good thing to do for alpha is to play. And that's for the later in the day breaks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we'll go into beta, and I'm just kind of skimming over, but these are like one of the most powerful resources for your audience, because this is huge. Then beta is our go-getter, and she's where we live. It's supposed to be like our 9-to-5er, but we're living in her.
Right.
So when you look at your phone, you're in beta. You get pushed into beta the second you look at your phone. So if you wake up and your brain wants to be in theta or alpha, and you look at your phone, especially if you don't have a red light filter on it, you hijack into beta. She's the go-getter. She can work 9 to 5. She can't work 7 to 10. Like, no wonder we're burnout, right? It's okay to run at that pace, but not for that long. What we need to do is we need to add in, just like a marathon runner. If beta is our marathon runner, we need to give her some water breaks. And so the magic happens when we can start to practice theta and alpha, and those become our water breaks during the 9 to 5 day. So what does that look like? that can look like, instead of, if you're waiting somewhere in line at the grocery store or whatever, instead of grabbing your phone, like just look out, look expansively. It's very different, just that field, from looking at our phone. It feels really good to your brain.
Yeah.
It gives your brain space so that it's not constantly being bombarded with information.
Yeah.
Right? These things take 30 seconds. They're a matter of an intention, information, like knowing what to do or not do, and making the choice. And it's practice, right?
Yeah.
But when you live a day in flow, or even an hour in flow, you'll feel it. And it feels really good, right? It feels very different than the da 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 da. But we can have both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. If you want to wake up and check your videos, like, definitely have a red light filter on. Won't throw you into beta as quickly.
I don't need to. I just don't need to.
What do you mean you don't need to?
I don't need to look at my videos.
Oh, you don't.
I just don't.
But also, like, this is where compassion and practice, and you know that.
100%. And I'm just, it's so true. It's just, honor the hardware.
Yeah.
Honor the software and how they operate together.
Yeah.
And I think it's, like you're saying, it's okay. But if I'm really being honest with myself and I'm asking myself what I want, I want more.
More what?
I want more joy. I want more abundance. I want more community. I want higher quality of life. So I'm going to choose better practices than the phone in the morning.
Yeah.
I know what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm willing to get freedom from this. I'm willing to sacrifice that moment to have more freedom.
Yeah. Well, it's a flex, right? And so knowing when you're doing it, and for the people listening, knowing when you're doing it, you're going to feel resistance.
Yeah.
And we make 30,000 conscious decisions a day, right? And you're becoming very conscious of that choice. I'm sure you have been conscious of that decision. And thank you for being vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us have those things and we could pretend we don't. Like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, then I don't want to hang out with you.
No. None of us are.
Right?
We're figuring it out.
But in order to simplify that in our busy lives, I like to talk about setting like your North Star. So what is it that you want? You want alignment, you want joy, you want freedom. Me too, right? We have it all by being it all. So figure out that state. What do you want it to feel like? Because no matter what you look at, like marketing, when they're like, oh, the vacation, the life, they're selling a feeling. So don't identify like, I want the house. I want the dream house. Like, what will the dream house feel like when you get it? And you set that as your beacon. You set that as your compass, right?
Yeah.
And then all your decisions, like the decision matrix I like to talk about, is listening to your intuition, your inner voice, because it told you, you don't need this cup of coffee. You don't need to check your videos. So listen. Then it's your nervous system. Does this feel good or not? And your values. And so it helps you not only set the setting, but to like keep you onto the path of least resistance. Because when we're not clear, we can get pulled into anything. And when you have people in your life that you're like, how are they doing it all and being it all? And why are they so lucky? They're in alignment. And when you're in alignment, like, you're going to get to that thing. And it might not be the way that you thought it was going to happen. And yours might not look like, mine's not going to look like yours, right?
Yeah.
But you'll get there to your version of it and stuff's going to come to you. But if you're looking at your phone, you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
It's luck is when hard work meets opportunity. I would say luck is when clear direction meets inner guidance, nervous system regulation, and core values.
Yeah.
It's alignment.
100%. It's wild.
It's cool, right?
It's so cool. Have I ever told you I used to do music theater like before?
I saw that. Yeah. And you were in Billy Elliot and
Phantom and all those things. But
so cool.
I just had you'd walk into a room with like 500, 1,000 people and they'd be like, guys, we need one guy. And, I had a lot of auditions where I was the one guy.
They chose you.
Yeah.
Out of a huge crowd.
And I remember being in the room, it's like a big open call and you'd have a bunch of people go, fuck this. I'm going home. We're going to go get lunch. We're not
I'll never be the one. I'll never get chosen.
And so it's really interesting not having any awareness. This was not part of my world. Really, not really. It was very much like, white knuckling it and working myself to exhaustion. And when everybody else was going out for drinks, I was studying sides, or I was spending my last few dollars on an extra voice lesson or whatever. Work.
Wow.
Pure dedication, right? I willed it. But a lot of those times in the room, there was no joy, right? It was like you're almost, you rob yourself of the magic of the experiential moment.
Yeah.
Right. When we white knuckle it. And sometimes I'll look back at those times. I'm like, man, I wish I was a little more present, because that was some cool shit, right? It's a cool sandbox to play in.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, really interesting. I just had a friend come over yesterday we were on the Phantom tour together, and I've not seen her in 7 years. And she showed up. She's like, I'm in Austin. I was like, come sauna and do an ice bath. And I talked her into her first ice bath.
Oh, cool.
And she's like, after being a dancer, my hips are really hurting. I'm like, oh, where? She's like, on my labrum. I stepped in, I tore it, doing this concert. And she's like, I don't dance anymore, so it's not a big deal. I'm like, let me bring you into the back room. We'll shock wave you. We're going to do the tendon. Then I'm going to put you on the PMF pad. And it was so fun. She's like, I'm so grateful. I had no idea I was going to come to your house and like sweat and do cold. And I don't have any pain when I'm walking right now. And it was so fun to experience. Like, I got to time travel back to that community. And like, she got to experience like a lot of the newness that's happened over the last 5 to 10 years. Yeah. And I woke up just feeling so grateful for that moment. It was really, really wild. And none of that would have happened without like the morning stillness or the awareness, like that you're saying. Like, so those things I'm visited by those feelings and those realities in my stillness. Would I just get up and just go again? Like I find we rob ourselves of the magic of the day sometimes. Yeah.
And I'd also argue like you wouldn't be where you are today if that version of yourself didn't exist the way that it did.
Right.
So it's like knowing, I wish I was more present, and now I get the opportunity to, and I wouldn't enjoy it as much had I not had the contrast.
Yeah.
I get that. I get you.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a constant, it's a constant reminder.
Yeah.
Because hustle culture is fun.
That's fun.
And dopamine feels good.
It does.
And for us manifesting generators, like it's who we are. I don't know human design as well, but I'm pretty sure that's the one I am. For me as a 7, I'm like ideas, action, go create. I'm like, I have this one life in this space, right? I do believe in reincarnation. But for me, I want to create, like I want to make a ripple and an impact. And so I think it's the marriage of both.
Yeah. Do you ever get like a download or a feeling or a hit of like, I've been here before, or I've seen a pattern unfold like this in another life?
It happens to me more with people.
Okay.
There's like a magnetic pull. Like I have absolutely been here with you before. Yeah. It's happened with places that will feel like home, even though I've never been there, but it's more people to me. How about you?
Yeah.
Which one? People?
People and places, experiences. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had some wild experiences. I had a wild mushroom journey one time where I was just like, I saw another life and I was like a vaudeville tap dancer, and it was so real. I mean, it was profound. I was just like, oh my God. And all the little things, the hats I like to wear, I was like, this is weird.
It is, I'm a fan of getting outside of our linear mind in whatever way that looks for you. And I've had some pretty cool experiences. For me, I'm a cycle breaker, and I come from a long line of pain and heartache. And I've seen through sitting in deep meditation and through having some journeys and experiences, I've seen the side of men on my family that have come before me, and kind of like what they came here to do and their role they played in it. And now handing the baton to me as a woman of the heart. And I just think there's so much beauty in getting in touch with that, whether it's like sitting in meditation, listening to your intuition, connecting. It makes everything feel more magical, right? Because we're human beings having this crazy experience, and to slow down and like zoom out and get out of the doing and realize there's like so much more going on here than we give credit to. Yeah. 90% of the day, and this could look like watching your child play. Like I love I love watching my kids like just be in it, be in that alpha heart space.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. 100%.
We're here for community and connection. And at the end of the day, who cares if you had the coffee or didn't have the coffee? And who cares if the video did great or didn't do great? It's like, what impact is what we're doing having on everyone? And I think the impact that we have on everyone is determined by, personally, how in alignment we are. Because that's when you can fully be present with someone in front of you, right? And that's when you create connections, and that's when you catch that person who maybe just needed a smile today.
Yeah.
Or that's when you hear that message or synchronicity, or that woman's name pops in. You know, that's when the magic of life happens. And I've heard you say, like, it's not, the magic isn't out there, it's in you. And I think that's how we get back to remembering that and feeling that.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So you have a book coming out.
I do.
Are you so stoked about it?
I am. Yeah. I am. You know, I think looking back, like there were these movie scenes I saw growing up. Do you ever like that song that hits you?
Yeah.
That you feel, or a movie you watch? Yes.
Oh,
okay.
there are certain songs. Yeah.
So there is this scene in Sister Act 2 that I saw when I was 12. And Whoopi Goldberg was talking to Lauryn Hill, and Lauryn Hill was like, I'm not here to sing. I'm not a singer, but like she's fighting it because she wanted to sing. And Whoopi Goldberg, which she's kind of gone off the rails, but Whoopi Goldberg was like, you know, if you wake up and all you can think about is writing, you're a writer. She was quoting a passage from Letters to a Young Poet. And when she said that, I just bawled. I remember bawling when I was 12. And I was like, I'm not a writer. I'm a gymnast, right? And now it's like coming back home to myself and doing all these things. I'm a fucking writer.
Yeah.
And I wrote a book, and I am so excited to birth this thing into the world. It's called The Connection Code. And I wrote it with Hay House, for Hay House, which is like my dream publishing house. And it comes out in the spring.
So fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah. And I've got a ton of free resources for your audience. So all the stuff we talked about,
great
2-minute tools, resources, like
great.
I got you. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I want to get the morning. We're going to do a bonus 5-minute clip. I want to get your morning routine and walking people through.
Yeah.
Morning anchor.
Yeah. And we'll put some B-roll in there.
Oh my God. That sounds so profound for people.
By the way, if you have kids, like my kids are in it too.
Oh, great.
I was like, I can't do this with my kids, but I got to do it.
Yeah.
It was my compass. I said it. So those things come up and you're like, I'm still moving in that direction. And now they do it too, which is so beautiful.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of my nieces and nephews do yoga. They do meditation.
It's like they're doing it without doing it.
They're doing it
in their form. We're doing it and like, no, I'm going to sit and do yoga.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really wild. Where did you live in Jersey?
Livingston.
Okay. I had a place in Union City.
Oh yeah. Not too far. I think that was like 20 minutes. Everything's 20 minutes.
Right about to go into the tunnel, like overlooking the city was my last home. So wild. Jersey is so dirty. Talk about
areas of Jersey. Where we lived was very beautiful, actually.
Livingston's not bad. Right.
Yeah. Like tons of trees and parks, and definitely not like the Jersey that I knew
per
of.
capita. Yeah. The number of plants and like factories. It's just so wild.
Yeah.
So wild.
Now we live in Miami by the ocean. I'm like, this is good.
It's stunning. I love the water. I'm such a water kid. So the book's coming out. Where can people go do pre-sale? Can they go like reserve a copy?
Yeah, not yet. That'll happen later in the fall.
Okay.
So we'll make sure to keep your audience tapped in. But in the meantime, I'm just like seeding, sharing.
Great.
Pretty much every month I have like a new 2-minute super easy resource.
Great.
Every month I have a book of the month we're using as kind of like our base. I don't care if women read the book with us or not. I would say throw it in your bag and like just hang with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a ton of stuff leading up to that. That's going to be really fun.
Amazing. Amazing. So Beautifully Broken podcast. Melissa, what does it mean to you to be beautifully broken?
It's being human, being imperfect. It's like, I think for so long, a lot of us are afraid to show up as our true selves because you're afraid to not be accepted. And so you're aiming for like perfection. And, you know, in doing that, all we're creating is disconnection. And so to me, beautifully broken is like, it's just showing up as who we are, and the right people are going to come into our lives.
Yeah.
It's easy, right? It can be scary. It can be scary because it's really vulnerable to be like, here's who I truly am, and run the risk of people not liking you.
Yeah.
Because none of us want that. But it's also like when you courageously take those steps, the other side is so beautiful.
Agreed. And you get to wave a magic wand and turn in all the cell phones to channel Dr. Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
What would you, in this time of like, we could say we're a little divided right now as a world. What would you say to people right now if you could tune in everybody's phone to your channel?
I would say if you could do one thing while you're here on this planet, like get back to who you came here to be, and everything else will follow through that.
Yeah.
And that's the work I really think that we're here to do, because then, I mean, you're calling, right? Like you're calling, you're serving a higher purpose comes through you.
Yeah. Get back to who you were meant to be. Thank you for being a guest on the Beautifully Broken podcast.
Yeah.
A pleasure.
Thank you. So good to be with you again.
All right. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll have show notes and links for Melissa so you can follow and check out all the amazing stuff she's putting out into the universe. Big love.
Thanks, guys.
Team, after battling Lyme disease and cancer for 20 years, I'm always on the lookout for cutting-edge ways to slow biological age and repair damaged tissue. A key factor is our body's ability to produce stem cells, a process that unfortunately declines sharply after age 30. In fact, age-related disease can reduce your stem cells by up to 50%. This is where Stem Regen comes in. This is a stem cell booster that has personally helped me, increasing circulating stem cells by up to 300 million in 1 month. You heard that right. Stem Regen optimizes your body's repair system using powerful adaptogens to naturally enhance the stem cell production within the body. For full scientific deep dive research, you can check out episode 179 with founder Christian Drapeau. And I'm excited to share that Stem Regen offers a 30-day money-back guarantee on purchases through the official website. You can use code BeautifullyBroken for $30 off your first order. Let's go, let's grow, let's repair. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are with season 9 of the podcast. We're about to crest into year 6. Can you believe it? I'm so glad you're still here. And I just wanted to remind you, if you like the show, please head over to Apple or Spotify and give us a 5-star review. It really expands the listenership. Now, there's one big way you can continue to learn and deepen the relationship that we started in this very episode. You can go to beautifullyBroken.world and you can check out our brand new website and store. Listed are all the technologies, the supplements, the self-quantification, the products, everything that I love, I personally use, and I've curated for this audience. Most of the items have a significant discount just by using the link or our code, Beautifully Broken, all one word, and they do support the podcast through affiliations. Now, if you want to see the faces of our guests and you want to watch me unbox products and see reviews, you can go over to YouTube at Beautifully Broken World. Now, this next message is from my vast team of internet lawyers. The information on this podcast is for education. By listening, you agree not to use the information found here as medical advice to treat, diagnose, or cure any medical condition in yourself or others. Always consult your guiding physician for actual medical issues you may be having. Now, in my closing, we are truly in a paradigm shift. We need you at your very best. So use these conversations as a jumping off point for further exploration. Always listen to your own body. And remember, while life may be painful, how we put the pieces back together is a beautiful, beautiful process. I love you so much. I'm your host, Freddie Kimmel.
My name is Lily, and I've had hidradenitis suppurativa, HS, for years. I finally found some relief since taking Cosentyx. Relief means I can show up more.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe hidradenitis suppurativa, HS. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTIX or Cosentix.com.
Ask your dermatologist about Cosentix.
Summer is coming right to your door. With Target Circle 360, get all the season go-tos delivered just when you want them. Snacks, towels, and even pillows. Get it all delivered the same day with Target Circle 360. Restrictions apply.